When a woman goes silent, it doesn't sound like much, but emotionally, it's deafening. You check your phone. No text, no missed call, no Instagram story, just digital silence. It starts as confusion, then panic, and finally, obsession. You start replaying your last conversations. Did I say something wrong? Was I too distant? Is she losing interest or worse, already with someone else? But what if I told you her silence isn't the end of the conversation? It's the beginning of your test. Because when she goes silent, she's not being passive. She's sending a message, one she expects you to feel, not just hear. And if you don't understand what's really going on behind that silence, you'll misstep, chase her at the wrong time, and lose the one thing you should have protected all along, your power. So let's decode it. Through the lens of female psychology and the Stoic mindset, we're about to reveal exactly what she's thinking when she's saying nothing at all. First, you have to understand this. Silence is never neutral. It reflects something, either her emotions, your actions, or both. A woman's silence often reveals what she won't say out loud. She may be confused, she may be disappointed, or she might just be retreating because you've stopped leading. When men become emotionally unavailable, women don't always confront it directly. Instead, they withdraw to protect their own emotional investment. But don't confuse distance with disinterest. Female psychology teaches us that women often feel more deeply before they act. She might still care, but if she's unsure about your intentions, she'll let the silence grow louder than her words ever could. Here's where Stoicism enters the frame. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Instead of panicking or reacting, you observe, you hold your frame, and most importantly, you don't rush to fill the silence with desperation. Because if you do, you're not leading anymore. You're following fear." Sometimes, her silence isn't emotional withdrawal. It's a test. She wants to know if your emotional balance depends on her constant validation. She's measuring your center of gravity. Can you remain unmoved when she's no longer showering you with affection? Women are biologically wired to seek strength in a partner. Not just physical strength, but emotional stability, the ability to stay calm when the storm begins. Her silence might come after a disagreement, or when you're busy chasing your purpose, or even when things seem to be going too well. Why? Because women often test when they feel vulnerable. They want to feel safe with your leadership. If her silence causes you to beg, panic, or start doubting yourself, you've failed the test. But if you stay composed, if you observe instead of react, something inside her changes. She realizes you are not controlled by her moods. You are centered in yourself. Let's talk about what most men do when they feel that silence creeping in. They chase. They send a wall of texts. "Hey, is everything okay? Why are you ignoring me? Did I do something wrong?" Or worse, they go passive-aggressive. "Oh, I guess you don't care anymore." Let me be clear. All of that? That's emotional leakage. It's noise. And it's exactly what she doesn't respect. Because here's the paradox. The more you chase her during silence, the more repelled she becomes. Why? Because you're trying to force reassurance from someone who's unsure. You're trying to gain clarity before she's ready to give it. And in doing so, you look like a man who can't sit with discomfort. But Stoicism teaches us that discomfort is a training ground. Seneca wrote, "If you wish to be loved, love yourself. And loving yourself means this. You don't beg someone to speak. You become someone worth speaking to again." So, what happens when you stop chasing her silence and start embracing your own? When you don't text, when you don't post attention-seeking quotes, when you don't ask mutual friends if she's okay, you create space, not to punish her, but to respect the dynamic. And guess what? That space becomes deafening for her, because she's used to being chased. She's used to being the emotional center. And when you don't flinch, she starts wondering, why isn't he reacting? Is he talking to someone else? Did I lose my hold on him? This creates emotional contrast, and contrast creates desire. See, the power of silence is that it allows a woman to feel your absence. And if she values you, she'll feel that silence as loss, and she'll want to close the gap herself. But only if you have the courage to let the silence work for you. But now, here comes the real question. What if her silence isn't a test? What if it's not about you? What if she's already emotionally gone? And how do you know the difference before it's too late. Not all silence is created equal. There's a difference between a woman who's taking space to think and a woman who's already checked out. You have to pay attention to the energy behind the silence. If she still watches your stories, if she reacts emotionally when you pull back, if she sends subtle signals, even without words, there's still something there. That's warm distance. She's not ready to talk, but she hasn't let go. But cold silence, that's different. It's when you reach out and get nothing. It's when you feel her energy is already elsewhere, and her silence is just the slow fade before the goodbye. Here's the Stoic truth. You must be willing to face either reality without letting it disturb your inner peace. Because the man who clings to hope in the face of emotional abandonment is the man who sacrifices his self-respect just to delay the inevitable. If she's gone, let her go. That silence you keep trying to decode, it's not a cliffhanger, it's not a maybe, it's closure. A woman who stops communicating isn't confused, she's clear. She's chosen to exclude you from her emotional world, and whether she says it directly or not, her silence speaks loud enough. You're no longer the man she's choosing, and that's okay. Because what the Stoics understood, and what most men forget, is this. We don't suffer from what happens, we suffer from our attachment to it. So instead of begging for clarity or obsessing over what went wrong, you take that silence and you use it. You throw the pain into the fire, burn the weakness, burn the fantasies, burn the belief that you can fix someone who's already gone. Because here's the truth. If she truly wanted to talk, she would. If she valued your presence, she wouldn't go ghost. The longer you chase someone who won't speak, the more you devalue yourself, and the more you delay your own healing. But the moment you let go, something powerful happens. You create space, not for just any woman, but for a woman who chooses you with clarity. A woman who respects your peace. A woman who sees your silence not as a weakness, but as wisdom. So no, her leaving isn't a loss, it's liberation. And that silence you once feared, that's the sound of your next chapter beginning. Stand tall, let her go, and level up. Let me ask you something. In a moment of silence, who truly holds the power? Is it the man anxiously refreshing his inbox, retyping a message he'll never send? Or the man sitting still, unfazed, focused on his purpose? Exactly. Because real power is calm, not loud, not desperate, just centered. Women instinctively feel the difference. They can sense when a man is grounded, when he isn't shaken by emotional highs and lows, when he doesn't need her validation to feel whole, and that's magnetic. See, most men rush to fill silence. They flood the void with apologies, explanations, or pleas. But a high-value man, he holds space. He trusts that what's meant for him will return without force. That stillness isn't indifference, it's discipline. It tells her, I won't beg for clarity, I create it within myself. And in that space, something happens. She begins to wonder, not out of ego, but curiosity. Why isn't he chasing me? Has he emotionally detached? Did I underestimate his strength? That's when the tables turn, because now your silence becomes the conversation. It forces her to face her own uncertainty, while you remain anchored in yours. She sees a man who doesn't flinch under pressure, who isn't emotionally dependent, who leads with peace, not panic. And in a world full of noise, that stillness, that presence, that's what separates you. Silence is no longer a void. It's a mirror. It reflects your depth, your confidence, your inner power. And if she respects you, she'll move closer to that calm. Because a woman may test many men, but she always remembers the one who stayed still. In the end, her silence is an invitation to either collapse or rise. Don't text her paragraphs. Don't demand answers. Don't try to prove your worth. Be still. Be focused. Be on your mission. Because here's the final truth. A high-value man doesn't fear silence. He respects it. He learns from it. And when it's time to speak again, he speaks from strength, not scarcity. That's what she'll remember. That's what she'll miss. And if she doesn't come back, she just cleared the way for someone better. If this message hit home, smash that like button to support the content. Share this with a friend who's struggling with mixed signals and silence, and drop a comment. Have you ever gone silent and watched her come back? For more on female psychology, emotional intelligence, and Stoic dating wisdom, subscribe and turn on the bell. because silence reveals everything. If you know how to listen, and now, use that silence not to wait, but to elevate.